Okay, Freddies, are we ready?
We are ready.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've been on here.
You've been a traveling maniac.
Yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks, but we're here, we're back. Justin has a theme called Morgan Ep right now. We're going to come to a name, I think, after we get to it. But these are all stories that as he's made some other themes, he's come across and felt that they'd be good for an episode that I'm on.
Well, let's go do it.
I know, but what's up? What have you been up to? You're having some really bad knee pain today.
Dad is not doing very well. Over the past, I would say 6 months, maybe a year, my knee, as I stay idle and then I stand on it, would always hurt. And then I walk and it kind of goes away. So I could always still walk and get on my walks and my, somewhere between 8 and 15,000, steps a day.
That's a lot of steps.
Yeah. And it's really healthy. It makes me feel great.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday I was climbing the effectiveness of steps. And all I know is I said, ow. And I said, that was the end of it. Mm-hmm. And I have been suffering truly ever since. So I have a doctor's appointment in the morning or 1:30 tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we'll see what they'll do. They may just take off the whole thing.
Dad is really scared about getting a knee replacement surgery.
So we will see where we end up. Right there, babies. Right there.
Gentle.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't hurt.
It's just walking because it's probably bone on bone. So if you guys out there, if you've had a knee replacement and had any injections and can, calm Dad's anxiety down, tell him, knee replacement surgery, no big deal. You got it.
I don't have anxiety. I want
You told me you were scared.
I just want them to put a cushion, a new cartilage in there.
New cushion.
That's not how it works.
I want to get some leather and just shovel another piece of leather in there and be dialed in.
Yeah.
No.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Also, you know what Dad needs to do?
Tell me.
Wear sunscreen because you got a little burnt. You're looking quite pink over there.
There I am. I naturally tan. I have a Mediterranean skin.
You're burnt. But let's get into these stories, shall we? Sunscreen. It's summer, guys. Wear your SPF.
Okay. Cheers. Let's go.
Okay.
Story number 1.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Story number 1.
Hey all, I love FKS and THT, so I thought I might write in. Sorry if it's long and disorganized, my brain is a whirlwind of thoughts. I have recently become disabled. None of my doctors seem to know exactly what it is, but everyone seems to agree it's some sort of neuromuscular disease. My mobility is significantly affected, and I have not been able to engage in previous hobbies, make it through a trip at the grocery store, or even do chores in my own home. I am blessed to have a wonderful fiance who takes wonderful care of me, but things still haven't been easy, especially since I'm in medical school and take at least 25 credits a semester. There are a myriad of problems and feelings associated with this that I am trying to sort out, such as losing the ability to participate in my previous sport after 8 years of being an athlete, or guilt that my partner is now saddled with a disabled partner and all the difficulties that come with it. However, for this, I'd like to focus on one particular issue, my parents. Both of my parents have been utterly distraught by this development in my life. They love me very much and have always been amazing and supportive of my dreams. It sucks to have to tell them that I'm not doing well. I can hear the pain in their voices when I'm accidentally a little bit too honest on our nightly calls. My father has been the most affected by this. My mother got a rare cancer last year. Luckily, the mass was removed with no sight of spread, so no worries there. And it's very hard on him. Almost losing his wife was a devastating event in his life. Now that I'm sick too, I feel so guilty for contributing to his stress. He tells me all the time that he's proud of me and that he does not worry more than he should, but he also says, quote, "A parent is no happier than their saddest child." They are both doing an amazing job of being there for me. For example, my mom has been helping me get appointments with specialists set up. However, all I can feel is guilt. I know they're proud of me and it hurts them to watch me suffer. This isn't something I can hide from them though, as I now require a cane to walk longer distances. How can I comfort them in this? I just want to tell them that I'm all right, but I'm not, so I just don't know what to do. Jerry, I'm interested in your perspective as a father. What would be helpful for you if you were in my father's shoes? Morgan, you being an OT, also makes me interested in your opinion. I'm thinking about trying to see an OT about becoming more functional. Do you have any thoughts? Justin, I'm so interested in what you have to say as well. This has not been proofread. Sorry if it's a total mess. Thank you again, and I appreciate any advice you may have.
You know, a parent's love is unconditional. And your dad was right. His happiest day is only as happy as his
saddest child. Yeah.
So all you can do to really make your dad feel comfortable is do the best you can and not worry about him. We don't want to feel that we have any more burden on you, what you feel. We just want you to know that we love you, and what we do because we love you, and just accept it and don't worry about it. You know, that's the most important thing. He's glad that he's got you alive, let alone anything else. So the fact that you may not be able to walk, you may not be able to care for yourself 100%, he's there. He's got your back. And we do that. And that's just part of being a parent. That's what makes us who we are. So don't feel guilty. Do the best you can and know that he loves you, and just appreciate and love him for the love that he has for you. And you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's a good point, because it's like he's worried about you, but you're worried about him that he's worried about you. Mm-hmm. And it's like that's just such an unnecessary layer of stress. And I know like not feeling guilty is way easier said than done. But truly, like our parents take care of us from the time we're born. They love us. It's just kind of a natural thing for him to be concerned about you, but like it's not anything within your control. So yeah, that's a really good point.
Just like I said, just do the best you can. He sees that you're doing the best you can, and just take the care and love that he has there for you, and know that you're there. And just look at him every once in a while and just give him a hug and just say, Dad, I love you. And I really know that. And I want you to know I really appreciate you. And he knows it, but just the fact that you're able to hug him and say that, it will send him to the moon and back.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think Jerry said it best in like 1 or 2 episodes ago when we were talking about how family all simply just worries about each other. Mm-hmm. You're all worrying about everyone else, whether or not they're even going through something. It's, oh, I'm worried about this, I'm worried about that. And when you think about it that way, think about any time you've worried about a parent or a sibling or a child, and then flip it and think about them worrying about you. You'd be like, oh no, don't worry about me. I'm worried about you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like this interesting...
The vicious cycle,
where it just, we all worry so much about each other, when then internally you're kind of like, no, I'm doing everything I can. I'm working on this. Like, as bad as it is and as scary as it can be, that's what this whole post is about. You don't want them sitting there every minute of their day worrying. Mm-hmm. So I think sometimes maybe flipping that perspective for them, like, oh, I've worried about you guys in the past and all this. And it's like, I think that puts it in a frame of mind where it's like, okay, I get you. I've been there, but it's tough because this is not anything normal.
No, we all recognize the most important thing you can do is not deny what's going on. Recognize the obstruction in your life, and just say, we got it. We're going to deal with it. And let's not give it any more of that negativity. Let's just take it face on. Dad, I'm glad you're there. I couldn't do this without you. Mom, I love you. You're right there with Dad. And we're just going to conduct our life to be as good as and full as we can make it, dealing with this shit that we got.
Yeah.
And that's it. And everything, all this stuff develops new paths in our lives. I met a family that they had a couple of years ago. At 5 years old, their daughter had cancer, came up that had cancer, and a mass. They had surgery. And I think the daughter's had 2 reoccurrences now. She's clean. She's fine. I think she's now 7 or 8. And it was a wonderful family that they bound together, and they then went on a doing marathons and raising money to give back to the cancer community to help others. So they've raised $300,000 in their
Wow.
in their stuff, and they were from Akron, Ohio, a wonderful family, and it was wonderful spending time with them, and I really enjoyed meeting them, and I'm sure that we will be in each other's lives more as the years go by. We'll stay in touch. So it's just wonderful to see positive stuff. The families take these burdens and they walk the path and get through them.
Yeah. I think from an OT perspective, I think it would be amazing for you to try some OT. There could be little things that you're doing that you might not even realize that are like expending so much of your energy. So in OT, we do, it's kind of like our bread and butter, honestly. It's like the activity analysis. So we look at how you might be doing activities. Like, for you might be working at a desk all day and you could be standing a lot or whatever. They break down your activity and essentially just can give you these different adaptations that help conserve energy or, prevent soreness, things like that. So I think OT would be amazing. There's so many different adaptations you can make. You'll learn about spoon theories and how to prioritize your activities and do the most important first. And then, what you have energy for later, you do if you can. But I think it would be great. Insurance usually covers it. It's something that it's kind of like mental health therapy. Like typically everyone could benefit from therapy, and OT is kind of the same way. Like everyone has occupations, activities, things we do. So there could be some ways to improve. But I also, I wouldn't be too hard on yourself. Using a mobility aid like a cane, super important. You're going to be safer, more steady balance. Like that's not something to think twice about. And, you don't have a diagnosis yet. It sounds like you're in this early onset, acute phase of this, a flare up maybe. So I would just take it easy on yourself. The more stress you have, the more certain conditions can be exacerbated. So try to de-stress and just prioritize some good self-care and focus on, finding your new normal. But yeah, Keep us posted on everything. We're wishing you well, and don't feel guilty. I know your ideal outcome, just feeling less guilty and having this off my plate. I have enough emotional baggage as it is.
I hope what I offer you, I truly believe, and I believe your dad will say the same thing. So just go with it and release.
Yeah, guilt's usually associated with things that you have control over.
And you have no control over this. Mm-hmm. No guilt. So keep us posted though, okay? Moving on to number 2. Hi, Jerry and Morgan and Justin. I've been in a bit of a weird brain space lately, so I guess I just need some general advice. I'm 26, female, and finished my master's program a year ago. I have a job I love in the city I grew up in. This is great, and I'm thankful, but I still feel stuck. I've never had a relationship that lasts longer than 5 months, and even those have been few and far between. I'm also a virgin because I've never gotten to the point of trusting someone like that. I've been trying to date, but it seems like it's just not worth it in my small Midwest town. I've recently started applying for jobs in my field at universities in a nearby city, which would be a very good job in my field if I could swing it. This is part of the hope to try living on my own for the first time and also enter a new dating pool. I just have a feeling I need to change something, but there's absolutely a fear of being behind my peers. Marriage, kids, I want kids, etc. in life. Do you think moving to a new city is worth the opportunity of finding someone when there is the risk of being less happy professionally? I can't really talk to my dad about this because he is convinced I'm too picky when it comes to dating men, i.e., I don't want to date someone with extreme political differences. Sorry if this is all over the place. Ideal outcome, to have a better idea if a move is worth the risk. Additional info, I'm a Virgo and hella anxious, so that probably isn't helping. LOL.
I'm a Virgo.
You are.
I am, and I've lived in different cities. Quite a few times. I started moving or taking jobs and moving to different towns when I was probably 19. And I will tell you that I've enjoyed every one that I've gone to. Yes, you are afraid to go branch out and to see those difficulties of not knowing anybody and having to go make new friends. But what you find out is that you develop a certain way about how to meet people, and it actually makes you stronger. So I don't say be afraid of it. I say look it straight in the eye and say, I'm going to take you on. Go for it. See what happens. See how your life changes.
Absolutely. You down there, you've moved to some big cities. You moved to New York from little old Minnesota, New York City.
I've always moved more for the purpose of career, not necessarily because I was looking for love outside of where I was. But I can understand that. I mean, I've had the luxury of not necessarily awkwardly running into people from the past all the time, like all our friends talk about back home and things like that. And it's like, oh, but beside the point. But I do know people that are actually considering leaving where they live to move to a new area where it won't necessarily hurt them professionally, but it opens up to an entire new dating pool. And that's a real thing because
absolutely,
when you feel like you've tried and tried and tried again in a certain area, especially a small area where you feel, you know everybody. Once you've done that, where else do you turn? Well, I mean, what options are left aside from thinking, man, maybe I try a new place?
I got a couple of thoughts. Number one, sometimes you go to places and that lake only has certain kind of fish. You go to a new lake and there's all kinds of different fish. Or you go to saltwater fishing. What you said is you're worried about falling behind. Don't put any pressure on yourself what everybody else is doing. When the fact that all your friends are getting married in the next 28 days and they're all going to have, children by the next, 90 days, don't let that affect you one way or the other. You got to be your own person. And when it's meant to happen, it will happen.
Yeah.
But you got to give yourself the opportunity to meet people, find out, what these other people that you went out with, what they were like and why it went 5 months. And were you repeating the same type of people? Was there a difference? I would look more into that to see how you're setting yourself up for success or failure, and should you get some counseling? These are some of the questions that I wonder about.
Yeah, I mean, there's dating coaches. A dating coach honestly might be more effective for you, but I think you both make great points. I was listening to you saying, oh, you're worried about falling behind, and I was like, wait, 26. And I think that's an interesting thing to think about too. Like, not only could you move to a new city, have a new dating pool, find fish that are more your style, your political similarity, your speed, whatever. I also think geographically, like areas, the expectations age-wise are different. Like if Justin and I were in Minnesota, being unmarried, kidless in Minnesota at 31, kind of unusual. Like most of my friends are married, having kids, have 2 kids. So it's like that's kind of the standard there. Meanwhile, I look at my friend group here. We're all in our 30s, not married, no kids. So I think, putting pressure on yourself to like, oh, I'm falling behind, I'm doing this. Don't. Everyone works at such different speeds. Your life is your life. Their life is their life. Don't compare. But I do think moving to a new city would be really good. Like I know myself, if I lived in the town I grew up, Little Duluth, Minnesota, I would have a really hard time dating there. We traveled and we were kind of in the South last week, and I kind of thought to myself, like, I would have a hard time living here because the differences in the way people think are just different than how I think. And I think trying to find someone to connect with and someone you want to be with as a lifelong partner, geographically, it can make it difficult if you're so off and not, in the same way of thinking. So I think give it a shot, move. It could be a win-win. You could better your career, swing a really good job, and, open your dating opportunities. And I think we've talked about this. Like, you can always move home. It's so easy to do. Are you going to cry a lot before you move? Yeah. If you're anything like me, you will cry up until the day you move. I cried going to college. I cried moving out to LA for grad school a lot. Every time I'd go to the bar, I'd be bawling with my friends. I don't want to go. But once you get there and you get settled in and you start making friends and doing stuff, you'll look at yourself and be like, What was that about? That was so silly. I don't know her.
One
Who was that?
line that my grandmother taught me before she passed, and she says, you got to have a meeting of the minds. So if you're not finding the meeting of the minds where you're at, go out and discover.
So we're voting yes, it's worth the risk.
Oh,
give it a go. Always, it's easy to move home. Easy to move home. So easy. Doors always open.
Don't be feared.
No.
Go with it with adventure.
Sounds refreshing.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
Okay,
moving on to number 3.
Number 3.
What number? 3. Trigger warning on this next one, you guys. It does contain talks of a very toxic family situation, some verbal abuse, and things like that. So please skip to the next one if you can't handle that today. Hi, Jerry, Morgan, Justin, and Holly.
No, Holly.
R.I.P. She gone. I've been a while.
Don't you miss?
I do not miss the other dog. He stinks.
He didn't stink last time. He got a bath.
No, I could still smell him.
No, you couldn't.
I've been a watcher of THT for a little over a year and FKS for about 3 months. I'm struggling on the fact I don't want to rebuild a relationship with my dad, even though I've been living at home. I'm unable to move out due to financial situation and going to school full time. A little backstory. My dad is/was always a chronic cheater throughout his marriage to my mom. My parents are legally separated, but currently living under the same roof. About 2023, my dad went literally psycho on my mom, my sister, and I to the point we were all scared to sleep at night. He would yell and storm around the house for hours, saying very inappropriate things. I'll never forget them. I was 20 at the time and got the threat of my door being taken away. It's 2 years later, and I remember everything he said and did, but he acts like it's erased away because he said, "I'm sorry," once. My dad does provide a home for me to live in and provide financially with things like my car and helping me pay for my phone. I feel that is a parent's job, especially when he's told me since I was younger he would help me get through college. My dad doesn't put any effort into a conversation, but I also don't put effort in because I don't want to be hurt by him again. I'm just wondering what's best to communicate that he's hurt me beyond just a simple "I'm sorry." If I was financially stable enough to provide for myself, I would not have a relationship with him. I just want to know how I should navigate this situation as I live at home. Ideal outcome, just advice on how to reach out or just leave it and stay neutral. Additional info, my mom, sister, and I did seek therapy through a domestic violence shelter and received therapy through that time. I just want to thank Jerry for being my internet dad. His jokes are received with eye rolls, even through a screen. Thank you.
It's a tough one because the natural thing that I think is just get out of the situation, period. Remove yourself. And I know it's difficult. Everyone says, hey, you'll survive. And being in the situation you're in, you are in danger. This guy is unstable. And it's unhealthy for you emotionally. So I don't know if all 3 of you can depart the scene. I mean, obviously, if there was enough money, I think he would be already out of the house, or your mother would be out of the house. So I'm assuming there's not enough, money to help facilitate him living on his own, and you guys are being free of him.
Yeah, it's definitely between a rock and a hard place, I would say.
I mean, I think a good way to look at the overall problem is, how do you deal with someone who's wronged you, thinking that, oh, I'm sorry, just kind of never taking ownership over it, and then sitting with that as the person who is affected by it?
Well, the person that's affected by it has to recognize that this guy is not normal. They're sick, period. And I'm not going to say that I'm going to cut him any slack for his behavior. I'm not. I mean, the guy needs to be, dealt with and treated, but he doesn't see the problem.
No.
So she's got to remove herself from the problem. She can't stay there and make a deal with herself. Say, I'm making a deal with the devil. I'm getting free, home and board, because I really think she has to find another way for her own health to get out of this.
Yeah, and this is the hard part I think a lot of our generation faces. A lot of people talk about how our parents were just doing their best and they parented how they were parented. And it's kind of been this vicious cycle of mental and verbal abuse. And our generation is really kind of being the first to get therapy and break the cycle and like really change things. However, our generation also has a crazy high cost of living, unaffordable housing, unaffordable college. I mean, you talk to people in your generation and they went to 4 years of college for $5,000. And now you spend $5,000 on books in one college course year. So we're just kind of at very different points where, of course, it's always easy to say, move out, you shouldn't live with him. But it is really kind of that rock and a hard place situation. And so if, you know, you're 22 now by the sounds of it, and this is your final year of school and you're about to be done and graduating, you know, soon, like it might be worth it to just keep him at arm's length, like really protect yourself, draw boundaries. You can communicate as little as possible, as uncomfortable as that is. But, you know, if this is someone you don't want a relationship with, and if finances weren't a consideration you wouldn't have a relationship with, I think you gotta get through it. And, you know, if you do want to make that big step, hey, it's one more year of school. I'm going to move out on my own. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to pay for everything because that's what's better for my mental health. You can also do it. Like you have two options. And, you know, I think therapy could be great. It sounds like you've gone through it in the past, but maybe family therapy together would be good. But I know a lot of people say like going to therapy with people like this can make it worse. It can teach them other tactics to abuse. So it is a very, very tricky situation. And I really do hope the comments chime in on this one if you've been through something similar yourself. If this were me in this situation, I would probably prioritize finishing school and then moving out as soon as possible. I would probably get a job if you don't have one. I would get a job now, start saving money so that when you do want to move out, you have more of that nest egg. But yeah, it's a really tricky spot.
And I think the right answer, and I'm glad we have opinions, is do what you can, find a roommate, get out of there now, get a job, and continue on your path. But you got to get out of there and be safe because it's just not healthy for you.
Yeah.
And I think for the time being, because you're in the same space with him, it's affecting you more. The past is. I think the present, it sounds like things have settled and it's more like we're coexisting and you're more having to face, well, you did all this. All I got was a sorry. Now I kind of have to see you every day.
Yeah. Resentment. I would feel so resentful at least.
And so really when it comes down to it, if you don't want a relationship, sure, we can look at the light at the end of the tunnel ahead. I'll be out of this situation. This is temporary. But for the time being, if you really don't want a relationship, then I wouldn't really worry about trying to extend out and try to see if there's something there, because it sounds like you've already kind of made peace with the fact that there's not. It's more the fact of how do I sit and have to be near him knowing that he'll never really truly take accountability. And sometimes that just happens where there's people that'll really wrong you and never have justice for it. And it takes a lot of, growth and just experiences and wisdom to get to a point where you can understand that happens and be able to like take it in and move past it. It's a whole, I mean, it's way easier put into words than actually doing it. But I think that's one of life's long challenges is learning how to do that.
It's almost like self-love and like just loving yourself enough to realize you didn't deserve that and you don't deserve to hold on to that pain, resentment, bitterness going forward because it's doing nothing but hurt you. There's a Selena Gomez song that just came out and it's like, I'll care when pigs fly. I'll care when there's not flowers at funerals. And it's like, there's a line in there where it's like, resentment only hurts the resenter. Something like that. I'm butchering it, but there's a song and I would listen to that because it truly is. It's like this person, your dad in this case, doesn't care, doesn't realize their behavior, doesn't realize their actions.
He has demonstrated a lack of respect, a lack of care.
Yeah. And realistically, because of all that, like the only person that's hurting right now is you. Like he doesn't care. He doesn't realize. So it's as hard as it is, like, yeah,
Threat.
the
There's
easy
there's
option, the right option might be move out now, figure out the logistics. But yeah, I think you definitely need to focus on yourself and your mental health and prioritize that to make sure you're in a good spot.
and find a way out of there. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
But okay, moving on to number 4. 4.
You forgot the golf.
Yeah, that's a good old golf swing for number 4. Hello, Jerry, Justin, and Morgan. I've been a listener of both Two Hot Takes and Father Knows for a while now. Both podcasts are the highlight of my day, and I'm writing in because I have no one else to turn to. For context, my dad is helping this elderly couple who are pretty wealthy. He's been doing this for over 20 years, and he's like a son to them because they have no other family. The wife decided to sign my father onto her trust, so he would inherit about $4 million and the house, which is worth another $1 million or more. This would completely change my family's future and set us up for generational wealth. My dad has kept me updated throughout the process because we are super close. Here is the issue. My stepmom is adamant that she doesn't want to tell any of the kids about the trust or the money, and my dad doesn't want me telling anyone, including my brother. Me and my brother are super duper close, and I hate hiding things from him. I also think he wouldn't really care to tell anyone, because in the past, he hasn't cared enough to tell other people's secrets. This is eating away at me because I don't want to lie to my brother, but I also don't want to get in trouble for telling someone when my dad made me swear not to tell anyone. But if you guys do see this, any words of wisdom, thank you so much.
Sometimes people become some people's lawyers. And as a lawyer or a doctor, you are sworn to that privacy. You're taking a commitment that you're not going to speak. If your dad asked you, I'm going to tell you something, but you're not allowed to share it with anybody, then it's your obligation to tell him before, Dad, I don't think you should tell me because I can't keep that obligation. And then you're fine because you don't know. You took the information with that codicil. So you really do have an obligation to honor that codicil. You don't have to tease your brother about it, say anything, make any mention of it, because as far as you're concerned, it is wiped from your head. You do not know it. But you did take it and swore an oath. And it's not lying to your brother. That was a commitment that you took when your dad gave you that directive. I'm going to share something with you, and I really don't want you to share it with anybody. That's when you're supposed to speak up and say, stop. I don't want to know it.
I don't want to know. Yeah, I would also say too, like, I hate telling people stuff and then not having it come true. Like, I think, if there's a chance telling this secret could impact this, like if it got out and then, people came out of the woodwork or whatever, like, you don't want to jeopardize this. And I also think, like, it's not over until it's over. Like, and you don't know, like, it could be 20 years. It could, like, I don't want to imagine these people just like, I'm not wishing ill on anyone, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not over until it's actually over and all of this comes to fruition. And
there's a lot of steps here.
It's just like, it's not real until it's actually real. And so I think, like, as goofy as it is, like, or as weird as it might feel, like, there's not really anything to tell your brother yet because it's just a hypothetical maybe.
That's correct.
And coming from the words of, like, this person. So I hate secrets. I hate holding secrets. I feel you on this one.
It's not a secret.
This is tough.
It's privileged information. Let's look at it that way.
Okay.
Redefine what it is.
Yeah. I'm
not holding a secret from my brother. I have privileged information. I'm not allowed to talk about it. I'm the lawyer. I'm treated that you're, as they said in the Tom Cruise movie, you're a ship out at sea that will never find port. And that's really what you are right now.
Wow. That was deep. I mean, I think it's really exciting. We've never really had a write-in where I don't think we've talked about wills and inheritance and that kind of stuff much, but I know what it's like to learn something from someone that's not always necessarily bad. I think a lot of times it's like, oh, what's the tea? What's the drama? But when you learn something just so awesome, it's almost like when you get someone that perfect gift and you're so tempted to just give it to them early. You're like, oh, I know your birthday isn't for another month, but
I love tea. I can't hold back.
But it's just like, you do this a lot.
I
You're
know.
like, well, I'm going to give you your gift. And I'm like, no.
It might be a month early. I'm so excited. I just want to tell.
So imagine knowing something.
I'm the same way.
You know something. You're just like, oh, you're just bursting at the seams to tell somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't. I mean, I think we agree that it's best you don't tell anyone else, but I feel what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
I can give you that. But other than that, I can't give you the green light to say, oh yeah, your brother, you know what? Because what's going to come from it? When you really think about it, what's really going to come from that? It either can be like Morgan said, it could be empty hope that really we're clinging on to something that's still a maybe.
Yeah.
As exciting and as life-changing as it is, it's almost like you have to forget for a while and then see what actually happens.
It's not a secret.
No, I am curious too. In the additional info, our writer does say, I'm 18, I'm leaving for college in the fall, but I feel like this will still haunt me in some way. I'm curious how old your brother is. Like, is your brother 12? And it's like, hey, 12-year-old shouldn't know that, like, this information, because like if you do tell him and then he hasn't wanted to tell secrets before, but like, you hear this secret, $4 million? Come on. So it's like, if he runs and he's the town crier now, oh my God, my dad's getting $4 million. My dad's getting $4 million. You guys, my dad's getting $4 million. Like, it's just not something you really want to have happen. So I'm curious how old he is. If this really, really eats at you and you can't just sit on it and, privileged information, respect your dad, then you could ask him and say, hey, can we talk about why you don't want him to know, and really suss that out a bit more. But honestly, just pretend you don't know. Pretend you don't know. I'm curious what the comments say on this one. I kind of feel like we should do a poll and be like, would you tell the brother? Would you keep it a secret? Because it is a pretty big secret.
I have a lot of friends that have wealth. You
have a lot of secrets, huh?
And I have a lot of privilege in my mind, and I will tell you that I respect the privilege.
Like you like Area 51. You know what's there.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
You know about those aliens?
I have no idea.
It's privilege. Not going to tell us.
Oh.
Okay, moving on here. Number 5.
Number 5.
You gonna be able to stay awake down there?
I'm wide awake, actually.
Keep those eyes open.
I'm fine. No, I'm just in a little bit of pain. So just keep rocking.
It's distracting. It's distracting from the pain.
Keep going. We're doing fine.
Okay. Number 5.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Jerry, Morgan, and Justin. Longtime listener of both podcasts. First time writing in. I, 21 female, and my boyfriend, 21 male, have been together for almost 4 years now. We are both each other's first relationships, and I love this man more than I can put into words. He's supportive, always doing kind gestures for me, always knows how to make me laugh, and above all, is just the type of person that one could consider husband material, LOL. We've been talking about getting engaged for over a year now, and plan to once we both graduate in June 2026. I'm currently in nursing school, and he is in school to become a teacher. We're both super excited about what our future holds together, as we've both always wanted to get married young and start a family. However, the issue lies with my family. My mother, 48 female, and my father, 49 male, are entirely against us getting engaged altogether. My dad particularly will make comments that really bother me, such as saying things like, quote, "You're still with that guy?" when I talk about something the two of us did together, or even asking me who I'm going on a date with when my boyfriend and I go out together. My mom, on the other hand, often asks me if I'm going to, quote, "move on and meet new people," as she believes that it would be ridiculous for me to marry the first person I've ever been with. They've also both lost their cool in the past over anything we've done together that shows our commitment to each other. For example, getting professional photos done together, him gifting me a promise ring, etc. I've been wanting to tell my parents that I don't appreciate their comments or attitudes towards my relationship. However, I'm not sure how to approach such a conversation respectfully. How do I tell my parents in a kind-hearted way that I plan to marry my boyfriend and that I want them to accept that? Ideal outcome, for my parents to be excited for me and to treat my boyfriend more like family. A few things to add. We both still live with our parents, about a 20-minute drive away from each other. My boyfriend's parents know our plans to get engaged, and they're beyond excited for us. They treat me like I'm their daughter. I even call my boyfriend's parents mom and dad. My parents, on the other hand, are nice to my boyfriend's face, but they do not treat him like family. More like an acquaintance, if anything.
Sometimes parents think that, that their kids should really explore to make sure they know what they're getting themselves into. Mm-hmm. I get that. And sometimes it is true that you fall in love with your first high school sweetheart, and you guys were fortunate enough to find that beautiful relationship right off the bat. I sometimes wonder if my first was really the one I should have married. And I've said this before, but I know that we would have had a very, very tumultuous, first 10 years or 15 years of our life, because we go through those growth spurts. You're now 21. I was 23 when I started going through those growth spurts. I was out on my own, life changed, and, it was real. And your parents are looking at it at that view. They know what happens, at the age of 21, 22, 23, 24, and how you start growing, and, and they're just worried about your happiness. So don't get too angry with them. Just recognize that they're just seeing something that they dealt with. That doesn't mean you're going to deal with it, but that's what they dealt with. So you can have a conversation with them and say, I know that you guys are having this fear because of maybe something that you experienced yourselves as you were going through these developmental years. We are waiting right now before we make any action, but we have no flags to say that we're headed for the same waters that you went through. So we're being responsible at what we're doing. And I hope that you'll just be respectful enough knowing that we're being responsible, and see what happens with that. Otherwise, look, you got your path. You guys may have to make a step between where you move out together and you're living together in an area where nobody can involve your nest. Mm-hmm. And they'll see that you guys have gotten through some of these trouble years and you're moving on and going to the next step. This is stuff that you'll experience, and you'll figure it out.
I do think that's a part of this too, right? Because you're 21, but you never moved out after high school. You still live at home. So in their eyes,
you're still a kid.
You're still a kid. You're not an adult. You're not on your own. You're not established. They probably feel that they can still impact your decisions. And so that's why they're saying these comments. And I think parents, as the child looking out, I think our parents really just want to ensure we have everything in life that we want. They want to make sure that we don't miss out on anything, or, make a mistake or miss an experience or see the world or travel before we settle down and do things. So they, from their eyes, could just be saying oh, you're still with that guy. But in reality, it's oh, you're still with him. Okay. I would really like for you to see the world and travel before you officially settle down. They could be saying what they're saying, but it's coming from a place of I just want to make sure you don't miss out on life. And that can still be with him. I definitely think travel, do things, live life a little bit before immediately settling down and have kids. I think that's one thing I've really talked to people about, especially now, and getting married, and conversation about kids keeps coming up again and again and again. And a lot of people I talk to are I'm so happy I had kids a little later and I got to travel and do these things. To each their own. Everyone has to do what they want. But, I think overall their comments could be coming from a place that doesn't necessarily coincide with what they're saying to you.
And I think if it comes down to it, the reality is you guys live your life, I'll live mine. You don't control anybody. You're just hanging out, watching all these people around you go through life. Some are closer to you, some you don't even know. You're just kind of watching all these stories happening around us. I think it really is apparent if you ever stand up on an airplane and you see everyone watching different things or working on different things or reading or sleeping. We're all just living our little story. We all have our own little lives. It feels like everyone else around us is pawns, in this big game we're playing, but really everyone is in the same position you are, just living their life. And I think in some aspect, even though I'm not in that position, never have been, and probably don't have any reason to talk from this perspective, but I think probably as a parent, there's some element of that with your kids. It's no different than letting them learn something the hard way, but the difference here is you don't know if your child is wrong. They could have hit the lottery and found that person right away.
Yeah.
And it's just not toxic. They don't need to go through all those bad relationships to learn what they want. Maybe it does happen. Yes, it's not the norm.
Yeah.
But maybe it happened. And if it isn't the right person, you won't know that for yourself until you've gone through it and notice that. And then it's just leading you to the right person in the end. You don't know, but you definitely have to go through it. You have to follow your gut and don't make a decision because of appeasing your parents.
Well, and the biggest thing that I see is that he may not be your parents' guy, but that has nothing to do with if he's your guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes parents have a different vision what they want for the kid because what got them, excited about the person that they were with or that they liked, or maybe not even married, that might have been out there. So they have a different dynamic they might be even looking at it as.
For sure.
So my answer to you is stay to your guns and just keep your mind open and see how your growth goes. And don't let anyone influence you. That's the worst part when your family tries to influence who you're with for whatever their interpretation is. They have no idea really what your relationship is. They only guess they do. So be your own person. Absolutely. Stay strong.
Okay, keep us posted, but we are moving on to number 6.
Number 6.
Our final story for this episode. Hello, Father Knows, and hello, everyone. I just want to say how much I truly enjoy listening to you all. I'm reaching out because I could really use some relationship advice. I've been with my boyfriend for almost 2 years now, and we currently live together in Colorado. We're renting from his family, who are also my friends. Recently, he told me pretty suddenly that he's considering moving to Oregon to live with his brother, who is going through a tough personal situation with his wife. The idea is that he'd go help with the house and the kids. This completely caught me off guard. I didn't know anything about what was going on until he brought it up.
So let me get this straight. He's saying, bye, honey, I'm going to go live with my brother?
And
go
his
ahead.
wife.
Got it. And in Oregon?
Yeah.
Got it.
While I understand wanting to be there for family, I personally don't think it's his sole responsibility, especially considering how big his family is and how often others also step in. I told him that if he moves out and goes, then I don't really see a future for us. I'm currently in college here and I'm not in a position where I can just move, nor am I interested in doing long distance. To be honest, our relationship has already been rocky at times, so this feels like a really big deal. When I shared how I felt, he said I was ranting and told me he can't talk to me about things without me getting upset. But to me, this was a serious conversation. He brought it up during my 30-minute lunch break at work, and I just needed to express how much this would impact our relationship. If he leaves, it feels like he's choosing his family over me, and that's always been a fear of mine. I've often felt like I come second in his life, and now I worry I'm about to be left behind entirely. I don't want to beg him to stay or convince him to build a life with me if that's not what he wants. I told him if this is truly his calling, then he should go, but that would also mean there's nothing left for us here. I'm feeling really torn and confused. Any advice would be deeply appreciated. Ideal outcome, a true answer if I should just end it now or try to work it out with him. Additional info, I have broken up with him once before, and I feel like I've worked so hard to make things work. He wants nothing but honesty up front, and I've been holding up my side of the bargain.
It already sounds like you're breaking up with him.
Yeah, I'd say time to call it.
It's like you're keeping score at this point in time. You know the rule of just keeping score, game over. I think you've already said it. I'm done. And if you're just trying to find the excuse and he's trying to find the excuse, the easier answer is, go do what you need to do. We're two single people. We're not engaged. We're not married. And we'll see if we miss each other. You're going to go on your thing. I mean, I'm definitely not staying committed to a person that just got up and left. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean I don't care for you, but the door is open.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's more so like it doesn't even feel like keeping score really. It's just like I'm putting in all this effort and yet I don't really have a partner that's as committed to me as I'm committed to him. That's kind of what I'm getting from this one, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you're certainly second, if not third or fourth, because there's not really any consideration. It's just kind of like, hey, this is what I'm going to go do.
And you're being, and then we had a little name calling. You're being unreasonable, or you're throwing a tantrum.
You're ranting.
You're ranting.
You're ranting at me.
Yeah,
I just don't see the respect.
I just think it highlights, though, how difficult when you're presented with all this in front of you, how difficult it can be to just break up, because it's easy to talk about it on this couch or in those chairs over there. Whatever story it is, whatever show, it often is easy as an outsider to be like, oh yeah, this isn't right.
You know what worked for me? I was driving cross country with Taylor, and I don't know, we were listening to an episode or I was just thinking in my head. And I said, these are the write-ins we get. And this is how I answer it. And I was in a relationship at that moment. And I just said, if I would be giving this advice, what the hell am I doing? Listen to your own voice. So I ask you, have someone propose the same question you're proposing to us and answer that in your head with all logic and clarity without the influence of yourself, and say, what would I do? Or what would I offer them? And listen to the advice you give them.
Yeah, it certainly echoes back to the Rip the Band-Aid Off episode.
It really
does. And I'll give you another perspective too, right? Like, okay, you've been together for 2 years. You're not married. You're still in college. Like, it sounds like potentially a younger relationship. Like, let's just say this is a temporary thing. Like, his family really needs him. And honestly, that is admirable. Like, that is something I would hope my family does for me. If I was in a terrible spot and I said, hey, Matt, Taylor, Paige, like, could you guys come out and help me? I would hope my family has my back that way. Like, that is something that is really nice. Let's say, he's going to go out for 3 months, and 3 months long distance is nothing. What if for school? What if you want to study abroad? What if you want to take an internship or a job opportunity that you have to go live somewhere else for 6 months? I do think if you feel this is your person, you wouldn't be questioning if I should break up or not. You'd be figuring out how to make the distance work.
Bravo. I agree fully with that one.
And so my friend Lauren, who you all know, when we moved to California, she had a very serious boyfriend in Minnesota.
He was serious?
Very. She loved him. This was her first love. I mean, she really thought they were going to be together. And so when Lauren moved, they were long distance. Like, they figured, this is something you need to do. You need to move to LA or you'll always wonder. And so they did long distance, and there wasn't a doubt in their mind that they weren't going to at least try. And did it work itself out? Are they together? No. But they still tried because the love was there. I think there's just too much muck for you, and this isn't your person, or you'd be asking a different question of, how do I make this work?
I'm with you.
So that's our thoughts. But community, chime in. I'm sure everyone will have lots of comments on these ones.
Don't shut that so quickly.
That's it. That's all we got today.
That's all you got?
6. We got a big roster of recording this week. So gotta keep some in the tank.
Oh, there's plenty in the tank.
Next couple episodes are gonna be real good. Real good.
We always knock out 7, don't we?
Not always, no. That's like a rare 2-time thing that happened there.
We were consistently doing it.
Yeah.
Two times.
2 running.
Well, we'll see what we have next week. We'll see what we have to offer.
2 times is hardly a pattern or consistent. It's just like
I thought it was beginning of a new rhythm.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, some really are different. I feel like a lot of these today were not super similar to ones we've had in the past. So
very unique.
It catches you off guard a little bit, and you have to think a little different. So
you got to gab a little bit more too.
Some take a little more time.
We got 3 on the couch today. You get a little less story, a lot more chitter chatter. Maybe better advice with 3 on the sofa, 3 different perspectives, takes. But let us know what you guys think in the comments. please give some advice if you have any, especially if like you've been through these situations and you're like, I did this, it worked. Let us know your thoughts. But we're out of here for tonight. Patreon this month is going to be real good.
Okay.
Real good.
So all of you, now that she promised really good Patreons, guys, I strongly suggest start joining those tiers. Tiers 1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3. I know. Number 3 is called Jerry's retirement fund right now, but it might have to be Jerry's knee replacement surgery.
Yeah, well, it's going to happen.
I know.
Yeah, it's actually a 4-person episode. It's me, Morgan, Jerry, and Jerry's pain.
I know. Dad's struggling down here.
It's definitely present tonight.
I know. We got to get you a weed gummy. That'd be fun.
Yes.
CBD pain.
Right before the episode.
Yeah. We should do an episode with you on a gummy. This would be.
Don't think so.
That's an idea.
Yeah, and then you can go sleep over there on the couch.
We'll do it. We'll put it on Patreon because then it's, it's a little safer over there. Yeah.
That's tier 4.
That's tier 4.
Yeah, I know what I'm like when I'm on a gummy.
You'd be good.
No, I actually worried about if I was breathing or not.
I think you'd be fun.
It was pretty bad. Thank you, Curtis, for that gummy, by the way.
Thank you guys for being here. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.